What is going on, guys? Dranathor here, and today I thought I'd run through the Rikka Sunavalon deck that I've been using, not only in the Duelist Cup, but also in Ranked. I went from Gold 5 up to, I believe I'm in Platinum 4. I think I've played 20 games, and I've won 19 of them. The one that I lost was completely down to myself. I went for the wrong play. I haven't fully remember it, but I went for the wrong play. I probably could have won it. I can't fully remember the details. We'll jump in to here. So I play 2 Loci as opposed to 3. I know a lot of people like to play 3 because you do like to see it, but I find 2 and 2 Petal are the better way to go. I used to play 3 and 3, but there were things that I cut down mainly to get in more cross-out targets. But I find 2 and 2 is more than enough, especially when you're playing the 1 Lone Fire. This is Master Duel, so you will of course play 3 Maxi, you will of course play 3 Ash Blossom. We have 1 Twin, you only need 1 as part of the combo with Loci, and as said previously, we have the 1 Lone Fire, just because it's very helpful with another card I play in Tranquility. It's also quite handy if you do Unexpected Die, Loci do the combo, Jasmine play Lone Fire Tribute, Petal, Teardrop, Strenna when you do get Strenna, to put the Lone Fire back into the hand so that when you summon Snowdrop you can summon the Lone Fire as well. So the one-off Lone Fire is pretty good. Same reason why I play the one-off Cactus Bouncer. You can't special summon Cactus Bouncer, so Cactus Bouncer only really works if you do hit Unexpected Die, and a lot of people do play 1 for 1. I just didn't quite need it as much. I find that this does work. So yeah, the one-off Cactus Bouncer is to stop your opponent special summoning. A lot of the time, this will get Impermed, this will get Forbidden Droplet. But sometimes you just normal summon Cactus Bouncer after doing your entire combo, and your opponent just scoops. One-off Primula, I believe you only need 1 Primula. Also, because I'm playing Cactus Bouncer, it's that extra search for the Glamour if I do need to get 2. But yeah, 1 Primula. I've seen people playing 2, I tried 2. I think 2 is too much, you end up with them in your hand all the time. Ideally you want to search it and Princess from Glamour, but sometimes it is nice to just search the Primula on its own. It's handy to have it in the hand, but you don't necessarily always want to see it. 3 Princess, card is bonkers, card is broken. It's your monster negate that can activate on the turn that it is sent, so you send it as part of your combo. If your opponent tried to Subiru you can Princess to negate, you tribute a face-up plant and shuffle it back to the deck. Shuffles back as cost, so your opponent can't Chord by the Grave it, so they have to do it preemptively. Princess is broken, I have no idea how it's a rare, and I have no idea how it's a common in the TCG. She's busted. 3 Mudarm, I see a lot of people playing 2. And I play 2 Snowdrop, and I also see a lot of people playing 1. The reason I play 3 and 2 is because the games seem to go on a little bit longer at the slightly lower ranks. When I start getting up to Diamond and above, I will probably cut them down, but for the time being, where you're coming up against some strange, not always meta decks, it is nice to have the continuation. I also find that you nearly always want to see Mudarn. You're never that worried if you see Mudarn, unless you don't see another plant. But because of the way that this deck is built, because of how many plants you have, how many options you have, you've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 ways of starting with a plant if you have the Mudarn, so I don't mind playing the 3 of Mudarn and the 2 is Snowdrop. Snowdrop can be a brick in your hand, on her own, but if you do the combo as you should, you will have sent Petal, so you'll get Petal back. So if you do end up with just a Snowdrop, you can Petal to add the Mudarn. I probably play the deck slightly differently than others, which is probably why I need to play 3 and 2. As I said, I could cut it down to 2 and 1. If I cut it down to 2 and 1, I'd probably add in another Loci, and then maybe another cross-out target. It's a little bit chop and change depending on what you do. Play the 1 Nibiru for the cross-out target, just so then, if you don't see the Princess, if, your opponent goes first, they win the dice roll, they choose to go first, and, you have your one-off Nibiru, might as well play it. Might as well play it. Unexpected Die summons low C, but only if you control no monsters. You want to see Unexpected Die or low C. You want to see Unexpected Die more than you see low C, because then it lets you normal summon Cactus Bouncer from your combo, or normal summon Lone Fire, normal summon the Twin if you have that in your hand. Yeah, it's good to have 3 Unexpected Die, along with 3 Glamour. Glamour can make a relatively bricky hand just work. If, say, you had 2 Mudan, 1 Glamour, 1 Imperm, and Cactus Bouncer, you know, you Glamour, search, add the Princess, special the Princess, do the Mudan to get you Concon to set a trap. It's not great, but you have Concon, you have the trap. As well, if you see, say, Princess, Glamour, Maxi, Mudan, Lone Fire, you know, it's brilliant, but you special summon the Princess, you Glamour, tribute the Princess, add Losi, add Petal, normal Petal, add Snowdrop effect, summon herself and Losi, which is then your 5th summon, but the Princess is in the grave, and you have Snowdrop to tribute to stop your opponent's Nibiru. 3 Glamour is a must. I play 1 Sowing, probably should play 2, simply because if your opponent knows how to play against this deck, they will stop the Sowing. Majority of the time they try and stop the Dryas, which is why I play 3, but if your opponent does know, they will stop the Sowing. So playing Ash on the Sowing is just a pure combo killer. I probably should play 2, but it is only once per turn. 2 Concon, this card's busted. I love this card. I played Rikka before Concon was in. They bought out Concon, they bought out Princess, and I was like, this deck is just going to blow up. It's going to be ridiculous. You tribute your opponent's monsters as cost for your effects. You know, you tribute your opponent's monster to negate something. You tribute your opponent's monster to summon Mudan. You tribute your opponent's monster to Snowdrop and Lone Fire. You tribute your opponent's monster with Tranquility to summon 2. You tribute your opponent's monster and steal the other one with Sheet. It is bonkers. I love this card. You don't need 3, you only need 2. Because of how everything else is being played, you know, it's difficult to get back Tranquility and Sheet. Sometimes it's quite difficult to get back the monsters. 2 Concon. I've heard someone explain that Concon isn't the problem card. The cards around Concon are the problem card. And I understand that, you know. You have to control a Rikka monster to be able to set the spell and trap. But, you know, Petal comes back at the end of your turn. If you have just Concon on board, their end phase, you summon Petal. You do Petal, you search Snowdrop. You do Concon, you set Glamour. You tribute their guy, you add Princess, you add Primula. You know, you add Princess, you add Cactus Bouncer. Right from there, you can then Snowdrop, tribute your Petal, play Princess, Primula activates, overlay those 2, Strenna, detach 1, add back Mudan, tribute the Strenna, play Mudan, add the other trap if you haven't used it, you know, add a Concon to have for next turn, if they've destroyed it, add Glamour, you know, this deck just works. 2 call by, same reason as you're playing Crossout Designator, you have to. I feel in Master Duel, you have to play Crossout with targets, have to play Maxi, and you have to play Ash to stop your opponent's Maxi. Same reason for that, caught by the grave. Your opponent Maxis, you're caught by the grave. Yeah, you can't use it next turn, but this deck special summons 20 plus times a game. You don't want your opponent drawing 20 plus cards. 3 Imperm, simply because I prefer Imperm to Droplet in this deck. It's either or. I probably could get away with playing Droplet, because, you know, if you've used Hyperiton's effect to negate, you can send it with Droplet. You can send Concon with Droplet if you really want to. If they activate, you know, Dark Ruler no more, you can then send your monsters with Droplet. I just prefer Imperm because it has that interaction for turn 1 as well. What you want to do with this deck is stop your opponent at a certain point, activate Concon, and just tribute their guy before they get too much on board. So I prefer Imperm over Droplet for that reason. I play Tranquility. I don't see people playing Tranquility, and I don't understand why people don't play Tranquility. You know, if your Petal activates in end phase, they activate Call by the Grave. You play Tranquility and bring your Petal back. Wastes their Call by, and then you still get your Petal, because if your Petal does get banished, it's upsetting. Very upsetting. Tranquility stops that from happening. Tranquility also allows you to tribute your opponent's monster to summon 2. So you tribute your opponent's monster, summon Snowdrop, summon Lonefire. It's just good. I like Tranquility. Sheet as well is, you know, one of those cards that you will be setting off of Con 99 times out of 100. The time that you don't set it off of Con is because you've drawn it. And for then that reason, I play Tranquility as well. You know, you can set a Glamour, but if you at the beginning of your turn, if you Glamour to add the Mudan to play the Con, there's no point setting another Glamour. Having another trap is good, and you don't want another Sheet because Sheet is once per turn. We'll go on to the extra deck. I play 2 Strenna. Probably could get away with cutting it down to 1, but I do like to have the second just in case, because I'm not really sure what you would play in place. Obviously you play Xyz and then plants, because pretty much all you summon. Potentially could play a Rafflesia, I suppose. Maybe an Araya. Is there any here that I haven't got? Inguna's a fun card, but doesn't really work that well. Never seen that, no idea what it does. It's like Earth monsters anyway, and I don't think you'd ever want to play that. So, you know, maybe a Rafflesia instead, maybe an Araya instead, but I do prefer to play 2 Strenna, just to be 100% on the safe side. I play Kanzashi. I don't see a lot of people playing Kanzashi, but I play Kanzashi. When you do the combo, you just call it completely basic. Normal summon the Petal, add a Snowdrop or a Mudan, depending which one you didn't have, Glamour to add the other, or Primula, one of the 3. 2 of the 3, sorry, you'll be adding, the 3rd you will have in your hand already. Normal Petal, Snowdrop effect, tribute Petal, summon herself, Mudan. Primula activates, special summons herself. Snowdrop effect, target Primula, make him more level 4. Primula effect, target Snowdrop, make it level 6. Primula, Mudan, Strenna, Strenna detach, add the Mudan back, tribute the Strenna to summon the Mudan. Strenna effect activates, summoning either Teardrop or Sacred Tree Beast Hyperiton. You then have 2 level 6s that you can make into Kanzashi, which, if a monster is tributed, you can detach one, target a monster in either player's graveyard, special summon it, negate its effects, and make it a plant. So already it's a little bit of an interruption, so if your opponent is playing Albaz, and they have their Fallen of Albaz in the grave, and they go to shuffle it back, you can tribute something, and then with Kanzashi go, no, that is my Albaz, your fusion does nothing. It's also destruction prevention, which I find really handy in Master Duel, because too many people are trying to go second. If a plant monsters you control would be destroyed by a card effect, you can tribute a plant monster from your hand or field. If you have a princess in hand along with Kanzashi and they play Raigeki, you tribute the princess to put it into grave. You can then still use her effect to shuffle her back because it's from hand or graveyard. I really like Kanzashi. Kanzashi is really, really good in a time when everybody is trying to go second. I'll say as another level 8 to go into if you think that you can't quite finish the game, but will be able to finish the game next turn, because with I'll say you can put a card back to the top of your opponent's deck. Ideally, you want to hit the Petal. You only play 2, you're probably not always going to play the Petal. You will always call a card that is outside of your deck, because you excavate the top, and if it is the declare card, you add it to your hand. You don't want to be adding it to your hand, because you want to send it to the graveyard, because it then activates its second effect, which means if a card is sent from your deck to the graveyard by a card effect, detach material, target a card on the field, place that target on either the top or the bottom of the deck. I came up against a Dark Magician player, and they activated Circle, didn't search anything with it, normal summoned a Magician's Rod, which I impermed, and then they ended their turn. I knew I wasn't going to be able to game because I had to use imperm and I didn't have a very, very good hand, but I made Ulsay and put the Dark Magic Circle back to the top of his deck. I know it then meant, he had to play it and search for 3, but because he hadn't added anything from the searching for 3 and I impermed his Magician's Rod, it didn't shuffle his deck, so I knew the next 3 cards were something else that he couldn't search, because this doesn't shuffle the deck afterwards. So I ended up with just Ulsay and Jasmine, which was 4100 damage, but he drew a Dark Magic Circle that didn't do anything, and he had nothing else in his hand. So I just won from putting something back to the top of his deck. But majority of the time, you will be playing Teardrop. She is the boss monster. Maybe could play 2. think you only really need one, though. I have tried two for a little bit of time, but I do think you only need one, because I'm playing 2 Strenna, and Strenna lets you get it back from the grave. She's the quick effect, if you have a plant, detach one, tribute a monster. Does target, but tributing is good. 1 Sacred Tree Priest Hyperiton, which is a negate depending on the card that is underneath him. You will always end with a monster and a spell, and since you're also playing Bengalancer, you have Sheet, potentially Imperm, you will pretty much always be negating a spell, especially because it's going to be a Harpy's Feather Duster, it's going to be a Raigeki, it's going to be a Lightning Storm. You're playing against people who are wanting to go second, you're going to want that negate. If it is Raigeki and you have Kanzashi, you don't want to use Hyperiton, because you want to use Hyperiton to then negate a Search or something like that. This is very like resource type deck. You kind of have to think a little bit in advance and think, you know, I want to use the Hyperiton on his Pot of Extravagance or his Pot of Prosperity. I have Kanzashi if he has Lightning Storm. If I think that he has Lightning Storm and Raigeki, you can use both Hyperiton and Kanzashi. Just need to think that a little bit ahead. Play the 1-off Zeus. In 20 games, I never summoned it, because either I completely steamrolled them and they surrendered, or I did my entire combo and they surrendered. I would keep it in there, though, just because it is very, very handy to have, because it's an Xyz deck. I play 3 Dryas, mainly for the reason of, if you do brick, you can... You know, if you normal summon Petal, your opponent imperms it. You can make it a Dryas, which puts Petal in the grave for more recursion next turn. Dryas can't be attacked as well, they have to attack you directly, and if they do, you can then activate its effect to play a healer. You always want to use Dryas effect on the last attack, because otherwise your opponent can then just run over the Sunvine healer. But you want to try and keep Dryas and Sunvine healer, so if your opponent does know how to play around the deck, and they have, say, 3 monsters, they will attack with 2, and then not do anything with the 3rd, because they know you want them to attack with the 3rd to play the healer. But 3 Dryas, just in case you break and want to put a Dryas out there, instead of leaving a 0 attack Petal in attack mode. Say 2 healer for the combo. You Dryas, Sowing summons Twin, you take 1000 damage, Dryas activates, you gain 1000, summon the healer, Twin summons Losi, Dryas and healer into the 1-off Jasmine that I play. Probably could play 2. Might be worth dropping a Zeus, drop a Dryas, put in another Jasmine, and then put in a Rhea. But the 1-off Jasmine, because you then make the Twin into a Dryas, the Losi into a healer, your second healer. Healer targets Dryas, you gain 300, Jasmine lets you search another plant. 1 Melius, because it's the part of the end of the combo. You make Melius, put a Losi back to make your 1 Bengalancer. Bengalancer is a target effect bounce after you take damage. It doesn't negate, it just bounces. But if this is in your graveyard, you can banish Link monsters who add up to Link 4 to special summon it back. You can only use one or the other once per turn. You can't special summon it back and then bounce something. But you can always do your combos, you know, Jasmine, Tribute, play Princess, Primula activates, summon itself, Strenna effect, after you've made the Melius, after you've made the Bengalancer, to put the Jasmine back, to use Bengalancer and something else to make the Jasmine, and then bring the Bengalancer back. You don't usually want to go that far. Most of the time with Strenna you will be adding back possibly Glamour, most of the time Lone Fire. Sometimes you might add back, say, Losi or Princess if you want it in your hand, if you think your opponent has Call By. So there is a couple of the things that you can play in this deck. I see a lot of people playing the Therions. You play 1 King, 1 Disc Colosseum, and 3 Berea. I see people playing Berea without the rest of the Therion stuff, because she is a target, a plant, special summon Berea, put the plant as the equip monster. It's just a free level 8 if you need it. There is also the option of playing Evil Thorn alongside more of the Aroma cards. If you were doing that, you would play Laurel for extra extensions. I see people also playing Rose Girl, because it's if a face-up plant leaves, you special summon itself. She's a tuner, so you can potentially make It's not in the game actually, so you can't make it. I was going to say Circle of the Fairies, but I believe there is some plant synchros that are in this. Let's go synchro. Let's go plant. Oh. Evidently there are. But there's the aromas, isn't there? Have I done something wrong? What have I clicked on? Let's get rid of that. Because I know there are. Let's try again. Synchro. Plant. Search. There we go. Don't know why it wasn't. You don't have the best of options. You do have Paralysis, Empress of Blossoms, which is special summoning a level 5 or higher plant from your hand or graveyard. Don't really use it too often. Queen of Thorns can be a bit of a funny one. Each player must pay 1,000 life points for each normal or special summon, except for plants. If your opponent's playing a very heavy combo type deck, you can play Queen of Thorns and you go, you have 7 summons. Go for it. Splendid Rose can be a finisher, but it's not great. Rather than the synchros, you will be playing the Xyz or the Lynx. You know, I did play Verte with the Rainbow Neos package, and also with the Destiny Hero package, but you know, you don't want to throw too many bricks in this. You also, the extra deck can be a little bit tight, so if you're putting in Verte, you then have to put in the Destiny Hero card. You have to add the 2 bricks and the Destiny Fusion. But what you could do is use Bengal Lancer and a plant to go for Verte, Bengal Lancer effect to bring it back, Verte effect to send it to play the Destiny Hero Phoenix. There is a lot of options that you can do with this deck. I have found, as I said, 19 out of 20 wins. The one loss was because I was silly. I have done quite a few games with this deck. I will upload talkthroughs of this, some live, some looking back. But if there are any questions, please feel free to pop them down in the comments, and I'll see you next time.